Don't you dare, Liverpool. Don't you fucking dare. That's what we said. That's what we said. Well, here we are. It's Liverpool have shit their pants. Liverpool have fluffed their lines. I know a million other metaphors. Get them all out tonight because, yeah, it's one of those days. Liverpool won, Tottenham Hotspur won. Yeah, I repeat. Liverpool won, Tottenham Hotspur won. And you know what? The irony is, we're all here on time for once, I may say so. But we're all not shocked. We were predicting 4, 5, and 6. Even I said 3-0 out of stupidity, out of sort of sincere delusion. But you know what? We're not surprised. We really aren't surprised. Whoever is surprised, for me, is a liar. Because we've seen it before. How many times have Liverpool conceded in the 90th minute? It might have not been 90th minute, but it felt like that. Because you saw the players, their faces, their body language, their demeanor, every single thing. I'm not even going to go on to the manager because I'm sure these boys will and we will. There's already 250 of you here. We expected a busy tonight. But yeah, man, let me... Javi's making notes. I'll go to him. Javi, you know what? I can assure you there's more notes that you making in this last 1 minute and 40 seconds. More than the manager anyway, because... What was the plan? Because that wasn't it.
We predicted 4-5, didn't we? Ben was sort of positive that we'll score 4-5. I thought 4-5 as well. It is what it is, Asim. At this point, look, I said we can all... the inevitable is, Asim, he won't be in a job too much longer. Whether he sees the season out, or whether we lose on or draw against Galatasaray and get knocked out, one way or another, I think he's gone. I think today we saw the players just frustrated in general, but more towards the manager. Salah and Chiesa at the end there, it felt as if they were, aggrieved with the decision of maybe not coming on earlier. Salah, obviously, frustration. He's a born winner, isn't he? So him starting off the bench wouldn't have gone down well with him. We score the goal, Szoboszlai, free kick again. Keeper should have done better, but we get 1-0 and you think, okay, here we go now. Let's put a second, let's put a third in. We just couldn't get going. We didn't create any clear-cut chances. There's players in that team who deserve to be on the chopping board as well, Asim, unfortunately. Not just Slot. And look, yeah, he looks like a defeated man. The clap at the end, the chorus of boos, which is unheard of at Anfield. You got to go through some dark days of Graham Souness's last sort of couple of games. Hodgson's game, I think, against Wolves away, Wolves at home, where we lost 1-0 and Kenny comes in the next day or a few days after. You've got to go back to those days to hear a chorus of boos. And I think his calling is coming soon.
Pick up your mic a little bit. It's just making a squeaky noise.
I think his calling is coming soon.
That's better.
And I fear for Wednesday. I really fear for Wednesday. On Friday, I was saying there should be no issues on Sunday. There certainly shouldn't be issues on Wednesday. Yes, they've got Asim and they've got some players that can trouble us, but we should really be breezing. I think it was one of the words I was using, breezing past Galatasaray. But yeah, it looks it's a sad state of affairs, Asim, at the moment.
Sad state of affairs, Ben, but let's be honest. Nobody's surprised because, look, I know we were all optimistic. But, I don't blame people because they want to be positive, even though throughout this shit season. But, and we were playing Spurs. But, didn't we say it as well that, we're predicting 4, 5, and 6 and 3, whatever it was. But let's be honest, Spurs are going to rock up Anfield and they're going to start looking at Real Madrid because it's what Liverpool do. And we're not surprised about it. And the most alarming and damning thing for me, Ben, is Spurs showed more fight than us. I can take a lack of quality. I can take a lack of decision making from the manager in hope that he'll get better from week to week. He'll learn from his lessons. Obviously, that's frustrating in its own right, but I can't take a lack of fight. That's unacceptable for me.
Yeah, it's really, really disheartening. Me and Gene were just talking before we went live that it's almost like not angry, we're just really sad and upset. And I'm the same, you know, made a fool of me today. The Reds made an absolute fool of me, and that's not that difficult. I've been made a fool of plenty of times in the past, and I'll continue to say stuff that'll come across as daft. But I said that we battered them on Friday night. I said Spurs is one of the worst teams in the league, and we'll absolutely roll them, no problem, because they've got no fight left in them. They can't wait to get the manager out. And I thought, yeah, I can't see anything less than 4-5-0. I thought we'll get an early goal, the crowd will be up, and we'll just steamroll them. Even though we're nowhere near at the level we want to be, we'll still steamroll them. And there was no cohesion, there was no fluency, there was no fight, there was no plan, there was no nothing. And as I say, you know, I sound like a record got stuck, and you know, I really struggled to say Slot out. I really did, and everyone knows that because of the glory that he brought us last year. You know, we got to see us lift a title last season, and it was wonderful. It really was wonderful. And then add to that what happened in the summer, which I know I've mentioned a million times over, but I'm mentioning it again because what he had to deal with in the summer was completely unprecedented. But there comes a point when the hierarchy and the club and everybody have got to understand that this guy is, you know, he's a good manager. He's a nice guy, but he's got huge limitations, and he is simply not good enough for this football club. And unfortunately, the time has come now for him to say goodbye. And I've got no doubt in my mind now that he will be gone at the very least by the 1st of July. But I think that there's a very good chance that Liverpool make a decision in the international break, and I think he's now on borrowed time. Yeah, and we'll go into it in more detail, but that's my opening thought.
Hello to goodbye to Slot. Hello to Jake. But first, Gene, I was watching your fan cam earlier. Have you calmed down?
You know, Asim, for me, I think I'm just really disappointed. I'm so disappointed in this football club. I'm so disappointed in these players. I'm so disappointed in the manager to rock up at Anfield and put up a performance like that. What we saw today was nothing short but of disgraceful. It really was a disgraceful performance. And, you know, I look at some of these players today, and Qasim, honestly, what do you want me to say about them? They're just shite. They're just not good enough to play for Liverpool Football Club. That you go onto that pitch, whether I don't know if it's the manager's instructions, but some of our players that go onto that pitch, we lack fight. You mentioned we lack intensity. We look like we're going into a game like we don't even have a plan. We don't even know what we're gonna do on the actual football pitch. We got a goal from a set piece, from a free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai. That's where we scored our goal from.
Which the keeper should have saved.
We had a couple of other half chances. Yeah, this performance today. If there was any Arne Slot in fan before this game today, I want to know if there are any Arne Slot in fans right now, because I will be shell shocked. Right, after that performance, that there's still people who will believe that this manager can turn this football club around, because I cannot see it. There's nothing that I have seen over the last 6 to 8 months that suggests that this manager is good enough to take this football club forward and to get us to a level that, you know what, where we're challenging on all fronts, because I can't see it. I really can't see it. Some of the players today, Asim, Curtis Jones, when he came on, he wasn't even running. He literally wasn't even running. Hugo Ekitike, boys, I love the player, and I really do. But mate, you better start playing for this football club and stop playing for yourself. Because some of what he did today, there was times where he could have released the ball quicker and earlier, and he never released the ball. This is a team game. You pass the ball when you need to be passed. The midfield, Allah Toba, Alexis McAllister won 3 duels out of 12. 3 duels out of 12. That is telling you something about this team, that they're just not good enough. They don't go out there to fight for the badge of Liverpool Football Club. They don't do it anymore. Whether it's the manager, whether these players are washed, I don't care. But the crux is that these players are not good enough and the manager is not good enough. Your title was Liverpool need to sack Arne Slot tonight. They should have sacked him in November. When the chips were down, we knew nothing was going to change. We didn't. We're sat here now in March. Yeah. What's changed in all this time? Nothing. Galatasaray Wednesday, mate. If they don't do us over, Marana Chainini. Don't call me Chin from now on. I'm telling you now, they're gonna do a number on us on Wednesday. And when they do a number on us, you're gonna be crying there. Oh, you know what? We should have done the right thing back then. Look, Asim, I'm just, you know what, Qasim, I'm really like today.
I'm glad you can make me laugh. I'm glad you can make me laugh tonight.
I'm actually really disappointed. I'm really disappointed that you played against a team that have got 13 first-team players out of their squad. Spurs, who everybody's beaten this year. Everybody. Latu playing for them. And you put up a performance like that today. At home, in front of your own fans. Your own fans, where's he gone? Zaid Taj, yeah, he goes to every single game. He put a comment up. He goes, Slot, I sucked the life out of Anfield. It was like a morgue today. You got booed at the end of the game. That tells you he's done. People went to the game. They said when you walked out, all we could hear was the manager's done, get him gone. That is what is coming out of the fan base. People who go to Anfield. It happened 3-4 months ago. But we're just waiting for the inevitable. Waiting. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What end of the season and what? Nothing's changed since then, man. Our football is still the same. Another stat somebody just put up. They ran 9 more kilometers than us. 9 more kilometers, yard. They want it more than us. Spurs, who've lost every single game, playing for a manager who everybody was saying is going to get sacked before Liverpool, ran 9 more kilometers. They wanted the game more than us at Anfield. That is unforgivable. Whether it's on the players or Slot. Some of these players, bro, get them gone. I want the manager gone. I want some of these players gone because they're not good enough. And they've proven this season that these players are not good enough.
Was it actually 9 kilometers more?
Yeah.
Yes, I've read. There's a stat. I read 9 kilometers, yeah.
15%. 15% more than Liverpool.
And that's all it takes in this league, isn't it? That's all it takes in this league. A few percent drop off, and that's what it is. They're not fit. They're not actually fit. Like, I know we're going to come on to it, and obviously it'd be nice to Jake to have his say on it, but we're going to come on to it. Those Chris Williams tweets that have come out in the last hour or so, they are damning, and I respect him a lot. He's definitely got contacts inside the club. So if he's saying what he's saying and he hasn't got no ties now because he's not professionally reporting for the club, he's got no reason not to say. And to be honest, I think it's damning. But sorry, let's carry on because Jake hasn't had a chance to say hello yet.
Jake, anything that we come up with is damning tonight. It's that bad. But this was supposedly a manager that Tottenham don't even talk to. Their fans want him out after in 10 minutes of football. Never mind, this was their 4th or 5th game. Correct me, whatever it was. It's not many, but if a team is running 9 kilometers more for a manager that they don't like and they don't play for against a team that supposedly the manager is backed by his players, then how much more damning is that? It's literally embarrassing, and that's probably the biggest understatement of the century.
Yeah, I agree with. First of all, I agree with everything that Sheen is saying. I support Sheen and what he's saying. Those are my thoughts to a T. So for me to come in here and give you my thoughts is just me basically copying exactly what Sheen just said, because those are my thoughts to a T. And I saw the Chris Williams tweets, and they're absolutely damning. And to anyone that's watched this team play, it's obvious that what he's tweeting is true. So if anyone's out there, suggesting that he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's just kind of going off the cuff, whatever excuses people want to make, it's obvious from watching us play. And even going back to the manager's preliminary comments when he first took the team over, this is how he's wanted us to play from the very beginning. This has been in the making since the moment he took charge. And this is the product that he's created. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if I saw this coming, because that wouldn't be true. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I didn't necessarily see this coming, but I've been slot out for a while now. And I mentioned that on my first show back, however long ago that was. I said the manager has to go. And at that time, I was a little bit confused in my head as far as who I wanted to come in. Right now, I don't care who comes in. I'll take anybody. You name anybody out there, I'll take him over what we have right now. Because you can't get less out of the squad that we have right now than what we're doing. You can't. You literally cannot do less with what we have. You can make whatever kind of excuses you want about the players on the pitch and the poor performances on the pitch. And yes, they do exist. But at the end of the day, it can't be every single player on this team is shit. What it can be is that the manager and his style of play has turned, and his training habits has turned this team into shit. And once the manager goes, I'm supremely confident, whenever that is, that the style of play is going to get better and the individual performances will get better. Right now, if you want my honest truth, I don't think we're going to get through on Wednesday. If you ask me right now, I'll tell you we're not going through on Wednesday. And I see Avi laughing. He was laughing at Cheen when Cheen said the same thing, because we're not going through. And you can wait until Wednesday until you get eliminated from Champions League football to make a decision on the manager. And if you do that, all you're doing is wasting an opportunity in Champions League this season. Because if you make a change at manager tonight, you have an opportunity to go through on Wednesday. You have Isak coming back eventually within the next couple of weeks. And there's a chance that you can make a little bit of noise in Champions League. But there's no chance whatsoever. There's not even a slither of hope we do anything in Champions League with this manager at the helm of this football club. He has to go, and he has to go right now. The fact that he hasn't been fired yet, what time is it over there right now? 10:08 p.m. is already a disgrace. We've had performance after performance this season where we've come on here and we've said, that's the worst performance of the season. This is now the worst performance of the season. We can sit here and talk about last-minute goals that we've conceded, but the facts are the facts, and we didn't deserve 3 points today. We did not deserve 3 points today. For us to be at home playing that shit side, and at the end of that match say we didn't deserve 3 points, that's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. I think we had 3 shots on target the entire match. We've talked about adding pace on the wings, and you guys have sat here and said, and I'm not defending these guys. That's not what I'm doing, so don't take this the wrong way. You guys have sat here and said the manager doesn't have the players. He doesn't have the right profiles in this team. We don't have any pace in the squad. We got Frimpong on the right. We got Rio on the left. The football was a bit better today, but what did it accomplish? It accomplished fuck all. Absolutely nothing, which is what I've been telling you guys. And again, I'm not sitting here suggesting I saw these results coming, but what I've been telling you guys, that the manager's at fault here. It's not the players. You can put whatever fucking players you want to put on the pitch, and the manager's going to ruin them. That's what I'm telling you guys.
Just to comment on this, I was actually, Jake, I know you missed the first shot. I was laughing at Gene saying that his name ain't China if Liverpool don't win on Wednesday. Look, I get everyone's frustration, Asim, and maybe I'm just different where I'm just numb to it all. Honestly, I can't even say to you that I'm angry or peeved or upset. Look, this manager will, in the short term, yeah, he's Liverpool manager, but long term, next season, there's no way. I don't think there is a way back for him. And yes, people can have a laugh with me and banter about me, like saying I gave him time and 18 months this and that. That's fine, because I believe that he could turn it around. I believe that maybe personnel, maybe Isak coming back could change his fortunes, but I think it's more than that now. I think it's deeper than that. I think, Ben has hit the nail on the head a few times. You guys have too. The real connection with the fans isn't there. When you're carrying this club, you're not just carrying the club, you're carrying the city. And he's done neither, unfortunately. I don't think he is the personality. I think he came in People will say that he was second choice perhaps after Xavi because he wanted to go to Madrid. That's fair. Came in, gave us the title, and I think he could be just one of those one-season sort of managers. Came in for a short stint, 2 years, and see you later. I think he'll go on to have a good career elsewhere. I think he'll manage a top club again. But I think now the general consensus is that his time's up at Liverpool Football Club.
What does he do well? You say you think he's a good manager, and he has won us the league. And I'm not trying to disrespect him, but you tell me, what does he do well for you to call him a good manager?
Jake, I think look, everyone's hot and heated, right? I do believe that this season there's been players that have come in. I think we had an influx of 5-6 players that have come in, and either he hasn't got a tune out of them, or the players that haven't settled. Florian Wirtz is a £115 million player. He should be a plug and play. You can sense, barring a good 6-week spell, that he is struggling to adapt to the Premier League. He's struggled to adapt to the Champions League. I thought he had a nightmare game on Tuesday. I didn't think he was any better today. I'm kind of worried about Florian Wirtz. I am kind of worried. He's put on 2 kg, but he just doesn't seem quick enough. He can't drop a shoulder and take a player. He can't glide past a player. He can't do the things he was doing in the Bundesliga.
But
in the Premier League.
Playing well? Okay, if you want to say Wirtz isn't playing well, I agree with that. He's not playing well. He hasn't lived up to the price tag. But if you want to put the blame on Wirtz, okay, fair enough. Show me somebody.
That's a big component though.
In the team
that's a big
performing well.
That's a big component though. When a player comes in for 110, 115 million, that's
not
a big component.
When nobody's playing well under the manager. Who is playing well?
I totally agree with that, Avi. Who is playing well, mate?
But Jake, Jake, it's not on the manager though. McAllister, you think McAllister's going to get his form back under another manager? His arse is gone. His arse. Don't be so deluded. Don't be so deluded. His arse is gone. Robertson today. People were clamoring for Robertson to come back in today. He was shit. He was shit. Did you see him against Moani today at the last minute? Where's the bit of strength, son? You're Scottish. Where's that spirit? Where's that little dirty dark heart?
You have to understand.
He was nowhere to be seen. There's players there. Look, a lot of the blame comes to Slot. But don't think that these players are all of a sudden miraculously are going to find their form again, because they're not. We are going to say a fair few farewells this summer, believe you me, to some playing stuff. Konate's form, individual mistakes, is not down to Slot this season.
I disagree with that.
It could be a structural setup. There could be a structural setup with Salah that's gone wrong, but he does seem as if he's lost a yard of pace.
Let me tell you why I disagree. Let me tell you why
Gakpo's not doing it because he's got no competition that left with for the majority of the season.
Listen, there's this general belief by fans that players are players, and they just roll out of bed, and Mohamed Salah is always going to be Mohamed Salah, and Alexis McAllister is always going to be Alexis McAllister, and Alexander Isak is always going to be Alexander Isak. When you train shit and your manager doesn't put you through habits throughout the course of not only the preseason, but the regiment throughout the entire season, they're not prepared to play. This is football at the highest level. It doesn't matter what the name is on the back of the jersey. When the training routines, Monday through Friday, Sunday through Friday, whatever the course is, aren't up to par, the players don't perform, regardless of what the name on the jersey is. You guys just think he's performing shit because the player is shit. No, there is much more that goes into it.
We will see which players stay on this season. No, Jake, honestly, stop with the rubbish. We will see how many players leave Liverpool Football Club this summer. Ben, hold on 1 minute. Jake, I'm dealing with you right now. You think it's a managerial issue. Let's see how many players of this current squad, of this first 11, stays on.
But that's not my
point. If you think no, it is your point. Don't start turning it around. Don't start turning it around and start twisting it and start playing these psychological games. You think it's a manager? You think it's a managerial issue? Let's see how many players of this first 11 today stay on next season.
But that's irrelevant.
Let's see on the squad of 15. Let's see how many stay. Because you clearly think it's just a manager. I'm sorry, but it isn't. I'm sorry, but it isn't. A lot of individual mistakes this season have cost us points as well.
I'm not suggesting they're not individual mistakes. They are individual mistakes, but those mistakes are being made because of the way the manager is doing his job. And it's irrelevant.
not-
If you take Alexis McAllister out of this team, hypothetically, and you send him to another team, that doesn't make your point. What would make your point if he goes to another team and he's still shit? But that's not what's going to happen. You're going to get rid of some players, yes, and they will be significantly better under a different manager, under a different club, somewhere else. And that's going to make my point.
Can I just
If
say
you
that?
not think, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
not think McAllister is gonna be a different player in the Premier League next season, you lot are all off the rocker. He's finished. The physicality has taken over.
Okay, so
It's PNP this season.
Abby, let Ben
that's-
come. Let Ben come in. Let Ben come in.
I think you're both right, and I think you're allowed to both be right. I think Jake is absolutely spot on that the ethos and the culture and the training regime and the methodology and the setup and the vibe around the club is substandard this season for a whole lot of reasons, and the whole level of the club and the whole level of the attitude and where everyone's at is way off because they're all underperforming. There's nobody really who's anywhere near the level. Like Szoboszlai's been our player of the season. He's the one who switched off for the equaliser in the last couple of minutes. He's at right back and he switched off like that. And that's because he's not a natural right back. But the point being is they're just not on it. They're just not on it. They're on it for 5 minutes, then they're off it for 10. Then someone else is on it for 5 minutes and then off it to 10, because generally speaking, the entire ethos of the team and the club is substandard this year. But I do agree with Avi in the fact that you are allowed to say that it can run parallel with the fact that somebody like Alexis McAllister has 1,000,001 miles on the clock for 1,000,001 games. He never misses a game. He never gets injured, and he looks like he's spent. And that's absolutely normal and valid. Mohamed Salah is in the twilight of his career. He's nowhere near the player he was even 12 months ago, let alone 18 months ago, 2 years, 3 years ago. He's coming to the end of his career. If we're being perfectly honest, Virgil van Dijk is not the player that he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and that's okay. But the two things, you both can be right, and the two things I think are working in tandem with each other. You've got players who are coming to the end who are not doing it, and you've got players in general who are just nowhere near the level. And I think it's absolutely clear to see. It's absolutely clear to see. But the problem is the manager is not prepared to make big decisions. He's a yes man for the club, like we've all been saying, but he's also a yes man for the players. And he wants to keep them on side. He wants to keep them sweet. He's giving them days off after days off after days off. So it's all happy and we're all good. We won the league last season. Everything's hunky-dory. And the results are coming home to roost. They're coming home to roost. And I think for the first few months of the season, the club was in mourning and it was like, we'll accept this and we'll just get on with it and we'll recover and we'll get over it. But they haven't recovered. They haven't recovered because this manager hasn't got the technical acumen, the skill as a manager and a coach, and the personality, most importantly, the personality to lift the club back to where the standards need to be. And it's as clear as day now, unfortunately, that he's just completely and utterly out of his depth.
Gene?
Look, in terms of Avi's points, look, I understand where Avi's coming from. There are a lot of players who simply haven't been nowhere near as good enough. And yes, I can accept that, you know what, some of this is on, you know, the coaching side of it in terms of slot. I get that. But some of it, the players have to look at themselves. The players have to look at themselves because some of the, look, I'm Alexis McAllister's biggest fan. Everybody knows that I called him to be captain of Liverpool Football Club last season, at the end of last season. I'm his biggest fan. But his drop-off from there, a player can drop off. It's not like he's 32 years old. He's 24, 25. I don't know the exact age, yeah? His drop-off is from there to here. And, you know, you can have 3 or 4 games where he's been bad. He's been really bad all season. And look, I'm not here defending him. And I'm not going to defend him because he has been absolutely dog shit this season. That's what Alexis McAllister has been, along with a load of other players. Not just him, a load of other players. And look, it comes to a point where I agree with Avi in a sense that, you know what, I want some of these players gone from this football club because they, you know what, the football's moved on and we've moved on. And they probably want, you know what, in their eyes, they probably want another challenge. Their contracts are coming up. They've got the World Cup coming up. All these things are going to play a part and they can F off if they're not good enough. But the manager, the truth of the crux, and it boils down to, is the manager. The manager's had a year to improve this football. He hasn't been able to do it. Regardless of the signings that have come in, who hasn't come, 1 year to improve this football team. He hasn't been able to do it. That is on the manager. That's nothing to do with the players. The players can have bad games. The players can have a bad month. But overall, if you look at it on a yearly basis, this manager's not good enough. He's simply not good enough to lead this football club. And I agree with Ben. He can't do anything in terms of the fan base getting the fans together, the players together. These players right now look like they've checked out. I'm being honest with you. They've checked out. They're going through the motions. Some of these players are literally taking the piss out of us. Honestly, that Curtis Jones today didn't even run. He's taking the piss because he knows he's effing off at the end of the summer. That's
Yeah,
the
but
honest truth.
what you mentioned Curtis Jones, Gene. What was the interview about then? About 2 months ago. That
Oh, I said,
I
well,
want to go in. Where's
yeah,
that?
that's it.
Those
January,
are-
we
those are
found
empty
out he
words.
wanted to leave the football club.
Those are empty words. Whether
January.
you had
He's
6
come out and
weeks
said he's
to
leaving
bitch
at the end of
about.
the club.
You had 6 weeks to bitch about a failure. You haven't got that move. You know, we'll talk again in the summer. But look, so I'm not blaming Curtis Jones here. I'm also blaming Slot for the man management because
I agree with you.
He's taken him away from the whole team, which is he's hardly got a start, and that's on the manager. But the player Curtis Jones must know a lot better. Like if he was like a guy who's come from France and he's down tooling, I can understand it to an extent, but not from Curtis Jones. We all sat here, we were slating Trent because it meant more. This means more. We had it all over the club for years and probably still do all over the streets as well. But Curtis Jones, if you haven't got that move, we'll talk again in the summer. When you cross that white line, you make sure you give 110%. Because even 100% for you, for a local lad, is not enough. He has to take a lot of shit today because that cameo, calling it a cameo, honestly, is embarrassing. It wasn't even that. He was just there on the pitch, and that's about it.
It was a disgrace, and Ben, I think, commented on it in the WhatsApp group. Jones, yeah, it does seem as there was no desire from him, was there? He got his favoured position, advanced 10-8, you want to call it, whatever. But yeah, he was that was borderline pathetic from Jones. And look, Jake, I totally get the Arne Slot thing. If we saw some kind of improvement in his play, in the way we're structured and set up, we haven't. Asim's banged on about the build-up. And other sort of, people have caught on it and saying, even Kara saying, listen, we're far too slow when we build up. It's just too sort of tepid the way we play, and there's no patterns of play, there's no passes, we can't string, there's no calmness in midfield. Look, and when you've seen it over the course of 7-8 months now, even probably the back end of last season, this football's the same. Yes, they have to call it in. I just think the board, for whatever reason, are waiting till the summer.
I'm not suggesting that he's going to get fired. What I'm suggesting is that he needs to get fired. I don't know if he's going to be fired or not, but what Gene said and what I said is how I honestly feel. I don't think we're going to go through on Wednesday. I don't know how anybody can sit here and feel confident about Wednesday. First of all, you have to win by multiple goals if you don't want to go to penalties. When is the last time we've beaten anybody easily? We don't beat teams easily. Even 5-2 against West Ham was way more difficult than the scoreline.
Yeah.
So Wednesday night is not going to be a walk in the park. I can promise you that right now. With this manager, if the manager changes, maybe. But with this manager, it's not going to be a walk in the park. So whether they sack him or not, I don't know. But what I do know for sure is it's a big mistake if they don't sack him.
Jake, we talk about new manager bounces. We talk about Manchester United, and look, people can say they've been lucky in games. They got their new manager bounce, mate. Asim sent me a table. They're number one since Michael Carrick has taken over from Ruben Amorim. They're number one. Their form guide is number one right now. I don't care what you say. They might have been lucky in a few games here and there. I don't care. They're number one, and I don't buy that there's no new manager bounce. Look at what they were, the laughing stock of the Premier League. We were taking the rip out of Manchester United. They're laughing at us. They are laughing at us. And wait,
and he's not even done anything revolutionary.
What did they do? They changed a manager. What did they do?
One
thing.
Yeah, and Carrick hasn't even done anything revolutionary.
Yeah, Gene,
he hasn't even done anything sensational. He's just done sensible stuff, hasn't he?
Gene, we don't know what goes on in the background and at the hierarchy, but what if they've earmarked Alonso again to be the main man, and he said, listen, I need 5-6 months out. I want to spend some family time before I go back into it. Because the Real Madrid job, the pressure there, and just the surroundings there, the energy. Why? Why is it
I
bullshit?
think his agent came out.
Amorim wanted to wait.
One second.
No, but Amorim wanted to wait till the summer to take over, but he took over in January because he was forced to. He said, look,
Xabi Alonso's agent has come out yesterday and came out and said all this talk about Liverpool is all paper talk.
I
So
know
let's
that.
get this narrative. He's come out. So let's get this narrative out that this board is going to back. Is going to get Alonso. That's bull. They're backing this manager because he's a yes man. And that's the honest truth. They're going to back him until the summer. As much as me and Jake have wanted this manager out for a while, we've been calling for his head. They are not gonna. We know that. You know that. Avi, you've been saying that that's not gonna happen. They're gonna give it till the end of the summer, and then they're gonna decide if he gets Champions League football. All the news that's been coming out over the last few weeks, you know, the round table, and after that, there's news coming out. Ornstein come out with the some quotes only a few days ago that Pulijo, they're gonna back this manager. So that's what's gonna happen. Right now, we can only go by what's been coming out. But the results that he's getting right now, they're becoming to his position is becoming untenable because the fans they already booed him again today. Lose on Wednesday night, a Galatasaray at home, and go out of the Champions League. But that crowd is gonna be going loop and online. It's gonna be hell. We all know that's gonna happen.
But can he survive hell if it's not hell already?
That's him. The one thing about this board, that we will say, they don't give a shit about outside noise. I learned that when they didn't sign anybody in the summer last year. We were all going for them. Why haven't they signed a player? Why haven't they? They didn't give a shit. They literally didn't care because they stuck by what they did. They carried on and cracked on. And the noise that comes out from the journals is they don't really care about the outside noise. I still believe. I want him gone, and I think he will go because I think we will get beat on Wednesday. And if we don't get Champions League football, then it's 100% curtains.
Because I don't just want to know about the manager. I want to know about what's happening with Edwards. I want to know what's happening about Hughes as well. Because them two lads have got a contract that ends up in 2027 as well. Liverpool right now, you know, it's a sinking ship.
When the club's not doing well, we start talking about the board and whatnot, and look, rightly so. First of all, there's some people in the comments saying FSG this. FSG will not decide Slot's future. It will be the board guys like Hughes and Edwards. Yes, FSG can say, look, we're unsatisfied with the results, and Hughes can turn a blind eye and say, no, Mr. Henry or Mr. Werner, look, we believe in this manager, give him another season. It will be strictly down to Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards. And now there's talk of Richard Hughes going to Saudi as well. Maybe we don't know how true that is. Yes, Asim, it's not looking good. And look, Wednesday, Asim, is probably the most important game of the season, but in the last sort of 5-6 years, perhaps. I think it's that big a game. Win, and obviously he'll get a reprieve. We know that. Lose, they've got to make a decision very, very quickly, because I don't want to see the next 8-9 games and this season fizzle out the way it is and finish 6th or 7th.
Why should he even manage Wednesday night?
Jake, look, okay, you don't want him to manage Wednesday. Jake, Ben probably doesn't. Asim doesn't. But the reality is he will be at the ground on Wednesday. He will be managing Liverpool. That's the reality. What you hope for and what you want is not what's gonna it will translate to reality. He will be there on Wednesday.
Okay, so what?
Unfortunately, for majority of Liverpool fans, unfortunately, he will be there, and it will be another chorus of boos. It will be a worse chorus of boos if he loses again or draws and we get knocked out.
I'm not disagreeing with that, because yes, there's a good chance he's going to be there on Wednesday, whether we agree with it with that decision or not. But my question to you now is, okay, so now all of a sudden we get eliminated on Wednesday. That's not worse than tonight. You lose to Galatasaray, that's less embarrassing than what happened tonight. So why would he get fired on Wednesday but not tonight? If you're going to keep him now, you might as well keep him after Wednesday, even if you lose on Wednesday. What's the difference?
And I'll add to that by saying, if you win on Wednesday, what difference does it make? Because there's no cat and else chance for beating the champions of Europe in the next round. So what does it matter?
Football's a funny game.
For me, the Champions League means nothing this season now, if I'm being really honest with myself, because we're not capable of winning it. We all love the idea that we see it in Budapest, and I was carried on that love train the same as everybody else a couple of months ago, but I'm trying to be a realist now. We're not even in the same stratosphere as some of the teams left in the Champions League. And one good performance against any of them is possible, but the reality is we will be found out between now and Budapest. You know, we're not going to go on this big wonderful journey where we're all on the train, and we're all, because why didn't we start against Galatasaray in the first leg? They completely went through the motions in the first leg. So I said on Friday, the one thing I might get right is that we'll probably win on Wednesday, but it won't matter because we'll get knocked out in the next round, be it the home leg or the return leg against PSG. My concern is Champions League for next season, because that changes everything for the club. That changes everything. If we're in the Europa League next season, the caliber of player that we are attracting is completely different to what Manchester United and Chelsea, and all of a sudden, the 10 years that Man United have been trolling behind us, in a flash, they skip ahead of us. And it's that big a deal, because not only would we not be able to compete for those level of players, we're also on the verge of losing two. We'll lose one this summer in Mohamed Salah, the club legend. We'll lose another one probably in Andy Robertson, and then next summer we'll lose Virgil van Dijk. And all of a sudden, we could have a decade of the doldrums again. And it might sound extreme, saying that, but that's exactly what could happen if we don't stop this rot. Like people are saying. We're saying, like, you know, it's a mess at the moment. It's a mess off the pitch. We're actually flying with the highest paying club in the country at the moment. We've got a lot of superb players on the books. We're paying massive wages. We're in the mix at the moment with the Premier League's elite clubs, but that can change in a flash in 12, 18 months. That could change. So to get into the Champions League is absolutely imperative. And I mean imperative to the point where I would happily go out of the Champions League. I would happily get beat by Manchester City 10-0 in the FA Cup if it meant us finishing fifth. And the point I did make a couple of weeks ago, where would you take fifth right now? Would you take fifth right now and the season ends and we go out of everything? I think a lot of people might think a little bit more about that now.
You did ask that question. Can I ask you? Can I go around the table and ask you all a question, a legitimate question?
Yeah, of course.
We get top four, but that means slot stays, or we finish outside of the top five, so 6th or 7th, and Alonso comes in the summer. Anyone can go first.
Look, I'll be honest. I don't want Liverpool to go and play Europa League football. Such is the competition right now. Ben just touched on it, how much money there is available in the Champions League, the caliber of player. Sometimes when you go out of the Champions League, regardless of the manager, it takes 2-3 years to get back in. And I'm not willing to take that risk. From champions to out of Champions League, I'm not accepting that. I'm sorry.
So top four for you. And slot stays.
I would 1,000% keep on a slot in a job if it meant us finishing in the top four.
But what I would say is, I'm only choosing that. But in reality, if I was the hierarchy, I'd get top four and get a new manager as well.
But that's not the question I asked.
I know. But I need to say that because, you know, you get clipped these days.
Gene?
Look, Avi, I have to say top four because simple. And there's two reasons behind it. Because number one, you said Arne Slot. Sorry, you said Xabi Alonso. As much as I like Xabi Alonso, everybody knows my thoughts on Alonso. So if you said to me, Luis Enrique today, it changes everything. If you ask me, Alonso's good. Luis Enrique is a different level. That would change my answer. So for me, right, because it's Alonso, I'd go for top four. Why? Because still, I believe next season, top 5 make the Champions League. Top 5 going forward. Well, hopefully top 5 going forward. So it is easier to make than previous years. Yeah. So I think if it was Luis Enrique, I'd miss out. I want Enrique at all costs.
But
whatever it takes. I think. But because it's Alonso,
top four slot. Jake,
you would take Luis Enrique and miss out on top 4?
100%. If you give me Luis Enrique today, I'm ready to miss out on top 4.
Jakey?
That's mad. I actually posed this exact same question to Amir about 2 months ago, and Amir said he would rather miss Champions League and hire Xabi Alonso. It was the exact same manager that I chose. But I agree with everybody else. I would rather be in Champions League. I just remember a couple of years ago when we weren't in Champions League, and that season for me was abysmal, if I'm being honest with you. It was absolutely abysmal. This season is abysmal also, but not participating in Champions League is another level of boring. The Champions League that season was absolutely terrible to even view without us being inside of it. So this is a no-brainer for me. I wouldn't choose not being in Champions League. And these are just my thoughts on us participating. Forget the financial aspect, forget the player aspect, forget the recruiting aspect. There's way more that goes behind it to kind of back that argument. But just for my personal opinion, I would rather be in Champions League.
Yeah. Can I just caveat my answer with us? If there was a fresh young Jurgen Klopp available, then I would happily drop out of the Champions League for him, because he done it all those years ago and he built us up into, you know, the best without a shadow of a doubt. But I think they're looking at the managers. There's some really great managers on the market, but they don't think there is any unicorn manager like Jurgen Klopp that's capable of just taking this from rags to ruins. And I think because there's so much money in the game in this generation and this era, that you have to keep up with the Joneses, you have to keep up with the money, and and eventually, if you have enough good players in your team, if you have a semi-competent manager, you're going to challenge for stuff. And you know, you've got if you can keep on putting top class players in the squad, then eventually it will come good. Whereas if you've got that great manager, but you've never got enough to compete with, we saw how difficult it was for Jurgen to compete with, and he was the best.
Asim, 8 games to go. 8 games to go in the season in the Premier League. 4 of our next away games, our final 4 away games. Shall I read them out to you? In no particular order. Everton away. Manchester United away. Aston Villa away. And we've got Chelsea at home. And Brighton away.
Half 12
next
Saturday after the Galatasaray game.
How many games do you see us winning out of those 4 away?
Avi, come on. You're asking me tonight.
Of course.
You're asking me tonight. Today we look like the relegated side, or the side that is struggling to stay in the league. Let's be honest. At times, for large parts of that game, Liverpool did have a few chances, but we looked goosed, man. And you're expecting me to tell you that Liverpool are going to win the 3 out of 4 away games, or they're going to get some positive results? You know, we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes that we can't get a result against Galatasaray on Wednesday night. Never mind the league games. But I felt sorry for some players as well. I know we've absolutely gone crazy at the players, and rightly so, because there's a lot of players for me who are hiding on the pitch. They're really pissing me off. They're hiding on the pitch. And when the shit is the fan, I want those players to come, because some senior leadership as well are hiding on the pitch. You know, some senior leadership are coming out on a week-to-week basis. Yes, it's probably not their fault, but saying the same things. And I'm calling. Look, I'm Salah. To be honest with you, I thought he looked bright. I can't really criticize. You know, but look, if you can't make an impact off the bench against Spurs, then when are you going to do it? But Van Dijk, you know, how many times have I heard him this interview? He needs to be better. He needs to be better. Wait, you need to be better, Virg. You need to be better. And I'm talking to you here. But too many players hiding. McAllister, I told you guys, I don't want to say, look, I told you so after 12 months, where the league was going. Yeah, nobody predicted it. Maybe you can say someone like Arteta knew where the league is going, and fair play to him, because he adjusted and he built a squad for it. Well, McAllister, he just cannot run in this league. He can't. Karabag number 10s and midfielders were making McAllister look like a Sunday league player. It was that bad today. And when we talk about the wingers and Liverpool wingers and pace and wide threat is one of the biggest priorities for Liverpool this summer, no doubt about it. Believe me, on top of that list, or very, very close to that list, I'm putting replacing Alexis McAllister in midfield, because he is bad. He is bad. Whether he's had a hernia operation, whether he's had too much football in his legs and this and that, but the profile of player, it just does not suit Liverpool. It does not suit the league right now. And I can go throughout the team, and I felt sorry for Rio. Us 5 should be celebrating Rio's performance today, because for 60, 70 minutes, he showed all the fight, all the courage, all the bite, and all the quality that we've been screaming out for in these players all season. All season. Because he had the bottle. He had the balls to say, give me the ball. And those players that were hiding were doing too much of that. They weren't supporting him. They weren't underlapping him because they thought, you know what? If I go beyond him, I am with the ball and the legs to get back and do my first duty. But you know what? Sometimes you have to support a kid. You have to support every single teammate, regardless of their age. But I felt sorry for Rio today because it was at times saying, here, kid, go for it. Take 3 players on. But you know what? He didn't give a shit. He still tried and he still created some of our best moments. I felt sorry for him. The keeper, Alisson, he's got a lot of sticks last week and this season for his injuries and his tendencies to fuck around on the ball. But today he saved us and he shouldn't be saving us against this Spurs side. The XG merchants will say Liverpool took about 7-8 shots, but so did they. They had about 6 to 7 on target. This Spurs side had 6-7 on target at Anfield. But the moment they had that ball, panic. The whole crowd. I wasn't there today. None of us were. But you could grasp it through a television screen. It was that bad. It was really that bad. And the hierarchy, you've been hiding since January. You've been hiding since the summer. Where are the Hughes? Where are the Edwards? Where are the Hogans? Come out. If he's your yes man, and then just come out and show the courage and say, we didn't back this man. We got it wrong. But rather than playing happy families on a round table week to week, sending these players out before yourself and then say, you know what? We did our best. Well, no, you didn't do your best. You fucking gambled again. And who pays for it? It's us bloody Muppets on this screen and all the Muppets in that channel and all the Muppets who go week in, week out and spend millions of pounds or not millions, £1,000, but collectively millions of pounds all around the world in supporting these guys. But what we want is a level playing field. One, are you going to fight for us? Because this is what you've been talking about. Jurgen Klopp, his troops, we would die for that team because they would die for us. But is this manager dying for us at the moment? Are these players playing for us at the moment? And how many times have we said you're a reflection of your team? With the hierarchy, you missed the boat in the summer. You missed the boat in January as well. If he's your yes man, then give him £100 million. Because we're sat here, we're talking about how can not £100 million improve this team? You could be the slot out guy. We all are. But you can't say that this team needs some refreshment. Some players, because there is a root cause as well in that there are some declining players in this squad and team. But who we got? A 17-year-old that we put all our hopes in. And then we got Trey Ione. Go, kid. Go control the game. It's 1-0. But go control it. What do we expect? So I want this hierarchy to come out this week and say, what is the plan? Because stop hiding. I'm sick of it.
Oh, just all. As they hit the nail on the head. Passionate. I don't even call that a rant. I think that's well-spoken passion from Asim. A lot of people in the comments, guys, are coming in for Ekitike. I'm not going to give Ekitike shit. I get, he came on. He's a team. He should have been a team player. He's looking for individual moments. That's fine. But the over-reliance on him this season, and that's been unfortunate that he hasn't had the chance to bed in and develop properly in this Premier League because of the injuries to Alexander Isak. I'm not going to give him shit. So that's my little take on Ekitike. If anyone else wants to come on Ekitike today or in the past few games where his performances have dropped, please feel free. But I'm not going to give him stick for something that I know that's out of his control. He wasn't meant to be playing week in and week out. He's a good player. He'll be a great player for this football club. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, Ekitike for me. Sorry, go on, Jim.
No, I want you to go, Ben.
No, honestly, go.
No, I want you to go because you started.
Oh, for fuck's sake, one of you, man.
Sorry, Ekitike to me, he's a supreme talent without a shadow of a doubt. But he's a reflection of this team at the moment in the fact that they're all trying to do it themselves. They all go on little mazy runs. They're not looking up. They haven't got the head up. I've lost track how many times in that game when I said, "Get your head up, get your head up." There's a pass there. There's a pass outside. But they're all individuals because they're not playing as a team. They're not attacking well. They do not attack well at all. I wonder. I'd love to know how many attacking drills we're doing in training at the moment, if any at all, because it looks like it's just a case of somebody get it, pick it up and try and score a goal. And if you get 3 or 4 men around you, then maybe I'll think about passing. But there's no fluency, there's no cohesion. And Ekitike is a young and impressionable young man, and he's a top talent, but he's nowhere near the finished article. And I think again, a better coached team and a more refined, more disciplined, a better manager, a better man and better man manager would be able to pull him to one side and say, right, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to improve this, you need to improve that, and pull him out of the game here and there. He's played a lot of minutes this year. He's probably played more minutes than, well, he definitely has played more minutes as he would have done if Isaac hadn't played. So we have to give him that, the fact that he is adjusting to the Premier League, and he has, you know, if you look at all the players that have come into the Premier League this season, your Sesco's, your Brian and Bremos, who were already in the Premier League, Pedro at Chelsea, none of them have really sort of like completely and utterly, you know, lifted everybody up, sort of thing. None of them have absolutely destroyed the Premier League. I think he's probably been the best of the bunch, if we're being honest. It's just that in recent weeks, he struggled and it's caught up with him. But I definitely think that it's a reflection of the team and the fact that, generally speaking, the performances and the style and the setup is so bad that, you know, you struggle to find anybody performing well. Like I was watching Aston Villa and Man United this afternoon, and they're waxing lyrical about Bruno Fernandes. He's on like 18 assists or something this season. He's having a wonderful season. But last season or the season before, when they were an absolute mess, and even earlier on in this season, to be fair, he was just getting lambasted because the team was just not cohesive. The team was not playing well. All of a sudden now, he's got Cunha around him. He's got Mbuemo in the right position. He's got Ahmed coming off him. There's players and options for him. So he looks to be thriving. And that's my thought as well with Vert. People are giving Vert a load of shit saying, you know, he's not this, he's not that, he's not the other. I think it's almost impossible to judge him. I know he's got a massive price tag. And I know he cost a lot of money, and I know that people won't want to hear this, but the money that was paid for him was as much about his potential as about what his reality is at the moment. And you're paying for what he can and hopefully will become, not necessarily what he is right this moment in time. And I think he is just a reflection again of the team. And I think if you give him to Jurgen Klopp or you give him to somebody else who's an elite manager, I think you'd see the best. And I'm completely and utterly convinced that he will light up the World Cup for Germany under Nagelsmann this summer as well. And you'll see how good he really is. So, you know, nobody can be judged, I don't think, at the moment. The senior pros, I totally get the point. I think they have definitely got to take more responsibility for what's happening. But at the same time, I think, if generally speaking, if the whole team is just completely defunct, then you sort of put how many fires are you putting out. You know, Virgil, as I say, he missed one header against Wolves and he got lambasted, but it's like you forget the other 50 headers he wins in a game because no other fucker can win a header. It's like he's trying to do everything. He's literally trying to do everything. So, you know, and he's never had a rest either. Never been pulled out of the team. Played week after week after week at his age. So it's like, yeah, I just feel as though the entire squad and the club at the moment are just, I think somebody else said earlier, just going through the motions massively. And I think the sooner that the club make a decision on the next manager, the better. But I'm just interested to see who that's going to be, because I thought it was interesting before what we said about, so if it isn't Alonso, or let's put it this way, if it is Alonso and they've said to him, right, okay, we want you to come in now, and he said, no, I'll wait till the summer, then there's part of me that would say, well, you said no to us for Real Madrid, and now you're saying no to us for the summer. Well, we're asking you to come now. If you don't want to come the second time round, then you're not the man for us. no matter what, how good a fit he may look, I'd be looking at somebody like Enrique or whoever else might be available to come in. But the possibility is they already have made an arrangement with somebody like, for example, an Enrique, who's not going to come now because he's in the middle of defending the Champions League with PSG. So there is a real possibility that that could be the situation, and that Slot is just trying to see out the season. He's not talking about next season. He's not talking about we need to start doing this so that we can be better going forward. I don't get that vibe from him at all, and I certainly don't get that vibe from the players. So I wonder whether or not the whole club's just going through the motions a little bit, and it's sort of just a case of, well, we'll try on the day and we'll see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it does, it does. But we're going to go out of the champion. We're not going to qualify for the Champions League if they're not careful. So they need to make a decision very quickly.
I agree with that. I agree with that. If you're gonna wait for Alonso, if you're gonna wait for Enrique, then wait. Where I am now. I've been probably with at this point for the last 2-3 months when I said I wasn't a Steven Gerrard fan. Bring Steven Gerrard until the end of the season, because I believe he will give the club, the fans, everyone a lift. Bring Julie from the canteen. She'd probably get a better tune out of the players. Is that bad right now?
Yeah.
But
no, I was massively against Gerrard coming in because I don't think he's anywhere near capable of managing an elite club, no matter how much of a legend as he is. But I think the circumstances are now that if you said to Gerrard, right, give us a lift that we need to get us into the Champions League, I think he would do it. But then most importantly, I don't think there'd be any expectation. So if he came into that tonight and we won every single game between now and the end of the season in the league, we won the FA Cup and we got to the semi-finals of the Champions League, then the clamour around the club would be he's got to be given the job. Exactly the same as what it is at Carrick all of a sudden at United. Yeah. But I don't think Gerrard is an elite manager. But if he done a fabulous job, there'd be a really difficult decision to make. So I think Gerrard would be smart enough to say, right, okay, I'll do what I need to do for this club because he's on record. I'll do whatever I have to do. But would his ego allow him to say, right, okay, that's fine. I won't take the job. And then whoever Alonso comes in or something like that, or Enrique or whoever, I think that would be a really difficult decision for the club.
I think Stevie would do it, but I think the club would, if they are going to make that call. The irony, you mentioned, what the effect that Carrick had. The irony is Liverpool need the opposite to Man United. The same result, but in terms of the demeanour and what the new manager would bring. And what I mean is there was too much chaos at Man United on and off the pitch with the manager and all that sort of stuff. And they brought a calm head in Carrick, and he's put an arm around a shoulder. And then he's talked about his talk in terms of his coaching principles. But right now, you wouldn't say he's a great coach. But in Liverpool, I don't think they need a great coach right now. They need a lift, and that person who brings in a motivator, someone who walks into a changing room and demands respect straight away.
Gareth Bale alluded to it on the overlap. He said Zidane never coached him. It's just because of his presence and what he had done for France in the World Cups and what he's done for Madrid. He just had that presence about him, and they just wanted to play for him. He said Carlo was the same as well. Ancelotti, he said, yes, Ancelotti could get tactical when he needed to, but his presence, and because he had been there before, this was his second stint, wasn't it? Ancelotti, he said the players just wanted to play for him because they knew he was passionate and he had the motivation to get the best out of him. Hence, they won 5 European Cups during that period. So, yeah, look, I get the Gerrard shouts. And if that's the decision that the club makes till the end of the season, then we're all aboard.
Guys, we all know that's not happening. Yeah, let's be all honest with ourselves. We're asking for something that's not happening.
Sorry to interject, Shane. I think if we lose to Galatasaray, even these guys who like to do something against the grain just to look smart, you called it hell. I think that's the right word for it. And surely they have to react to hell.
Right, and he goes.
Sorry? Ben, what did you say?
I think it's bright. It's the league games for me. I know I've sounded like a record got stuck, but to me, I think deep down they're expecting to go out of the Champions League at some point. They're not expecting to win it. It's the Champions League qualification for me. So if he loses to Brighton, he's done.
But Ben, if he lost to Wolves in the last two games, he lost to Wolves and then drew to Spurs. When are they going to call it? If they were going to call it, they would have called it.
they're saved by the fact that the other teams are being just as bad at the moment, so they're still in the top 5. If we're being realistic, if the other teams have showed any form, we'd be 7th or 8th now, and that optic
how's that
makes
going to
so much
change next
difference.
week? That won't change next week.
Well, if we lose to Brighton and the other 2 win and we finish 7th at the end of the weekend, then the alarm bells must be ringing, surely.
Why weren't the alarm bells ringing when we were in sixth coming into this weekend?
Because I think they thought that there was enough time to be able to still do it, and they've seen it not. You know, we beat West Ham, we beat Newcastle, we beat Sunderland away. There has been, although the performances have still been very turgid, the results have come. But as soon as the results stop coming again in the league, then there will be, you know, we've lost against Wolves in the league, and now we've drew against Spurs in the league. All of a sudden, we went on a run of 7 wins in 10. Now we're on a no win in 2 in the Premier League. Forget the Champions League and forget the FA Cup. That's irrelevant, really. The FA Cup doesn't matter.
If he's not getting sacked tonight, and this is not my opinion, this is just what I think. If he's not getting sacked tonight, I don't see him getting sacked after Wednesday.
So do you think the club will allow us to drop out of the? Do you think the club will allow us to drop out of the Champions League without a change?
I don't know. I mean, I just don't. If you're going to make a change, in my opinion, it should happen now.
But Ben, my only point is that I think there's been so many.
I agree.
I think there's been so many circumstances already this season where it's been really bad, really bad. You know, Gene's been talking since November. You know, when that winless run in 12 games or whatever it was from the start of sort of the end of September to November, he could have been sacked then. If they haven't pulled the trigger now, I can't see them pulling it in the next coming weeks.
Well, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, I'm seeing a totally different vibe tonight around the club. A totally different vibe. The social media vibe tonight is completely different. I say, really recognise the accounts, and I won't name them. There's no point naming them, but recognise the accounts and avid supporters of Slot. I've said enough's enough tonight, and you're getting recognised journalists. You're getting quotes from various different sources saying that the decisions will have to be made very, very quickly, and there's words coming from players. There's all sorts of comments coming from various different areas that weren't there. That noise is now amplified significantly since this result today, and I think there definitely will have to be a decision. If we lose on Saturday, I think that the international break will be the time. Let's not. Sorry, go on.
Ben, I think I get what you're saying, but I also think you're underestimating what the Champions League means to the fans and to the club. Where you're saying the bread and butter is the league, but they won't make a decision if they lose on Wednesday. I think you're understating the importance of the Champions League and what it means to us.
No, I totally agree.
What it
from
means
a fan's
to who?
perspective, it'll be devastated.
To everyone,
but the reality
to the club.
But I think the pound, shilling, and pence, unfortunately, means more to the club than it does when it comes to the. And I think if they're all being deeply honest with ourselves, we're not capable of winning the Champions League this season. So let's be honest, it doesn't matter when we go out. You know, if we get to if we get to Budapest, and we lose the final, you know, it is still technically possible. It is technically possible, but it won't make no difference. It won't make no difference. Because we got to be in the Champions League next year.
I disagree with you, Asim. If the Champions League, and making a run or being successful in the tournament was that important, and I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm saying this is just the devil's advocate argument. If it was that important to the club, then they would make the change right now, saying, you know what, the risk is too great with this guy leading the way going into Wednesday night. We're going to get eliminated if we don't make a change right now. You want to make a change after Wednesday, it's going to be too late when you're already out of the tournament.
I agree with that. And we would all make the call right now. We would have made the call a long time ago. But I'm just trying to think that these guys are clearly thinking that he's our yes man.
But what
Let
about
me finish. And I think there surely has to be a line even for these guys. And I think you're underestimating the bread and butter is the league, and we could still get Champions League next season. But look, at the end of the day, we're still a good team. We've still got some good players. We're all blaming the manager.
I mean, you get beat by Galatasaray and we accept going out to Galatasaray.
We got beat by PSG.
You got beat by absolute truck. Let's be honest.
If we got beat, you have to understand the context of the nature of the defeat and who you lost to. If we lose to Galatasaray, without scoring, for example. Well, never mind without scoring. We could score 8, we'll concede 9, which is probably realistic these days, however our defense looks like. But if we lose and go out, you're underestimating the importance of that and the noise. We've just called it hell. Hell. Surely they can't ignore hell.
Guys, another thing I'm
Asim, surely player power plays a part here as well. If the club or the hierarchy think that the players have stopped playing for stock, surely they make a decision.
This is what I was getting to.
And maybe there's a discussion around the club, and maybe the players are saying, look, everyone's culpable. And I'm just putting scenarios out. This isn't just on it. This just ain't on our manager. We as individuals have to take responsibility. I don't know what's going on, but if you certainly know a club, and we've seen it with United. United are the nearest example. You know when the players have stopped playing for the manager, and they make a decision. Whether it was Oli, whether it was Carrick first time, and then whether it was Van Gaal, Mourinho, Moyes, you know when they've given up. With Ten Hag, you know when those boys have given up.
Avi, 2 months ago, I was on a show with you guys, and I said one thing. I said, bro, you think the players are bad now, just wait until we go out of the Champions League. I said, if you think the players are bad now, that is the one thing that they're looking forward to, in a sense. You go out on Wednesday, these players are farak. You think they can't run? They can run a little bit now. After Wednesday, they're not even going to run. Mark my words. You go out on Wednesday, this team is done for the season. I'm telling you, they're not going to run because they're completely gone. They're going to be completely shattered, completely gone out of the Champions League. They will have given up completely. And I'm telling you, that is what's going to happen. This is why, look, I would have changed the manager a long time ago. But if you go out on Wednesday, regardless, I believe that like slot out goes, they've checked out. I believe they checked out already. But after Wednesday, you go out, Farak, finito. They're done. Our season is done after Wednesday. We're just going to sugarcoat till the end of the season. If the other teams are not good enough to win their games and we win a couple, Avi, we were talking about Liverpool, making up a 5 or 6 point gap 3 weeks ago because we had the easier fixtures. Our fixtures, difficult fixtures, are yet to come. They've played each other now. I think they've got one more game to play each other. Our difficult fixtures are yet to come. We're the ones that are going to struggle, not them.
Are you agreeing? Hold on. Let me ask you one question. Are you agreeing with Asim saying if we lose on Wednesday, you think he's going to get fired after that?
No, Ben, listen, I believe the players will have checked out.
That's fine, but what do you think about the decision on the manager? If we lose on Wednesday, is he going to be here on Thursday or not?
I think if we lose on Wednesday, by the international break, we could have a new manager.
Okay, I believe Ben. Sorry, I'm with you, Jake. They should have done. They should have done this a while ago. They haven't. He's here till the end of the season. I'm with you, Ben. As Jake said it, I think regardless of what happens, because we're going to be 1-2 points off the top 5. Even if you lose to Brighton, what's the maximum we can be behind? A couple of points behind Chelsea. So they're still going to think, okay, let him go to the next game. Let him go to the next game. And then, but if it's 4 points with 5 games to go, they're not making a change till the end of the season. So he's here till the end of the season now.
What do you think, Avi?
Asim, our saving grace at the moment, honestly, is Villa. I think Villa are in free fall. Yes, they gave it a good go to their Old Trafford, and look, they had their moments, but they are in free fall. And the longer that they're in the Europa League, and this is how
we can't rely on anybody else.
This is how desperate it's become, though.
I'm sick of relying on anybody else.
This is how desperate it's become. The longer that Villa are in the Europa League, the better for us. And that is desperation for me to say that. Let me tell you that. Where I'm at, Asim, is, look, I do believe, and I think I might be the only one in the panel, but I think Ben might probably join me in this. I do believe that we will beat Galatasaray. It won't be easy. It won't be definitely what I was saying a couple of days ago. Certainly not after today, but I do believe we will beat Galatasaray. But that doesn't, and
let me ask you a question.
That doesn't change my position on the manager now.
Hold on. We're gonna go through on Wednesday. Okay, so how are we going to get through on Wednesday? Tell me how we're going to go through. We're down 1-0 right now. Explain to me how we're going to go through on Wednesday. What is going to be the score on Wednesday night to put us through? I want to hear what you think is going to happen.
We've got to beat them by 2 clear goals. Ideally.
Well, yeah, obviously. So
I don't want penalties. I don't want penalties. I think it'll be 3-1.
So we're not going to penalties. You think we beat them 3-1?
I think so, Jake.
Okay. We don't score 3 goals in 3 or 4 matches, but we're going to score 3 on Wednesday night. Okay.
Yeah, I just believe it's
We
gonna
can't
be
score.
I think it's
We
gonna be
can't
Wednesday.
score. I think we'll win on. I think we'll win on Wednesday as well. I do, but I think we'll get beat by Brighton on Saturday
How
morning.
can you sit here and say we can score?
But
We scored 5 against West Ham.
We are
We
shit
scored
Jake
4
Jake
against Newcastle.
Jake, we've shown
scored 4
that we
against
can score
Newcastle.
goals.
You guys
We
are
scored.
having a laugh right now if you think we
Have
can
you
score
not?
goals.
We have scored goals recently. We haven't like not scored any goals recently, Jake. We have scored goals. You know, this team is diabolical away from home.
What's your prediction?
We've played 180 minutes against this side that we're playing on Wednesday night. You know how many goals we have against them? You know how many we have against them?
But Jake,
Tell me how many goals we have against them.
How many minutes have we played at home?
Under. That's what we got. Egg.
How many minutes have we played at home against them?
Under.
None.
Egg.
You know what? I love the comments.
They're a totally different team away from home as they are at home. And that's that, and the records show that they haven't lost a home or something like since the 70s.
Listen, Galatasaray have been getting battered away from home. By the way, they got battered to Frankfurt. I think 6-2, 5-2.
So have Spurs.
And you know all the people in the comments saying that we're going to lose.
I will tell you one thing.
Please hold that. No, 1 minute. Please hold that on Wednesday, and do not come on this stream on Wednesday and celebrate and say yes, Liverpool.
Why should they not celebrate?
Hold that.
Celebrate just because they deleted, they might get beat because there's such a
mentality in the comments.
They can't celebrate.
The defeatist, the negativity in the comments saying that we're going to be knocked out on Wednesday. This and that.
Because they feel like they're going to be beat.
Negativity right now is understandable.
Listen, a European night at Anfield is still
ridiculous thing to say.
Regardless of our record,
we've just dropped points against one of the worst sides in Europe.
Our record in the league, yes. And I've seen us perform better in European competitions, and we've still been as bad in the league. 2005, 2007, we weren't great in those seasons either. When we
got beat by the team twice.
2017, 18, yes, away from home. Bring them
there's a chance that we might go out.
I think we'll go through on Wednesday. And you're perfectly within your right to say we're going to go through, and these guys are perfectly within their rights to say we're going to get beat.
I'm not.
You're saying those guys who are negative in the comments and these guys on the panel today, if Liverpool go through, they're not allowed to celebrate. Why?
No, they shouldn't, because the way the way they're portraying that. Look, for them, people in the comments, majority of them, they will never have the ball.
I don't believe we're going to beat Galatasaray. Have 1 second. I don't believe we're going to go through in the tie. Does that mean if we go through, I can't celebrate?
You shouldn't celebrate now.
You've come up with 100 bloody things. You said we're going to be.
You just said if we go through my name ain't China. You said if we go through my name ain't China. You said if we go through your name ain't China. You just said if we go through your name ain't China. Yeah. So why would you celebrate then? You said if we go through, my name ain't China, because you don't believe that we're going to win.
I don't believe we're going to go through, but that does not mean that, you know what? I can't.
You shouldn't be this negative. European game, we shouldn't be this negative.
This guy, man.
What's the only thing that I want to make clear?
It is hard not to be negative.
Whether we go through,
I get it, but like, come on. Then why are we doing the show then, Ben? Why are we turning up then? Don't turn up to a Wednesday night then. Why are we turning up then?
That's not about it, because I tweeted before. I'm one of the most glass half full fans in the world. But you have to, as the guys said so many times,
honestly,
like the phrase, but it's reality. You've got to call a spade.
Enjoy your life. We didn't lose today. We didn't lose today, did we? We didn't lose today, did we?
We don't just do shows when you win, bro. You do shows when you win, lose or draw.
I'm covering my phone now. Okay, please.
Remember what I said in the group before, Avi. All right. Let's keep it the way that it should do. Everyone should
so what's the point of watching Wednesday's game if everyone thinks we're going to lose? Like,
I'll be watching it.
Not you, Ben. It's more at the comments. Idiots in the comments, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity in there anyway. There's a lot of. I totally understand.
How can you blame people for thinking we're going to lose?
People have got nothing better to do in their lives. I'll tell you that straight up now. I'm sorry.
I know exactly how you feel, Avi. It does hurt because you don't want anyone to dish your own club. I'm exactly the same. I'm exactly the same.
It does not hurt
It is
me.
hurting you because I can see your emotional reaction to it. It is hurting you.
It does
and
not hurt me.
Should hurt
I've
you
got-
because you're
I've
a
got-
massive Liverpool fan.
It is, but Ben,
Don't point to the
what is-
California sunshine because that's not fair.
Ben, you know what it is? I've got a blue sky. I'm ready for my barbecue. I'm
No,
ready
that's
to
not fair.
have a few bets. I'm
Listen
ready to
down
have a
here.
few bets up there. I'm ready.
That's
We're
bullshit.
gonna lose on Wednesday, Ma. You'll be ringing me, Chine. What happened? You be doing that.
No, you rang me. You rang me.
You be crying. You be bloody crying, Chine.
Asim,
You
he
know,
rang. Asim,
that's
he
what
rang
you be
us
doing.
today. He rang us today.
What
I
I
was
won't stand for,
devastated.
I tell you now, what I won't stand for is people saying they want us to lose on Wednesday.
No, that's
Different.
different.
I've
That's
got no
different.
time.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, hold on, Jake. Let me tell you, there are cowards. There are cowards. There are cowards in the chat. There are cowards in the chat that do want us to lose.
No,
There
that's
are
different.
people. There is genuinely there's a
Let
huge
them
amount
be
of Liverpool
them. Let
fans,
them be them.
a huge amount of Liverpool fans in the comments as well that do want us to lose on Wednesday.
But they're gobshites.
First of all, Ben
They are.
and Sheen,
Well played.
both of you guys just told us 5 minutes ago you'd rather not make Champions League next season and get a different manager. What's the difference between that and wanting to get bounced on Wednesday? It's the same fucking thing.
I said that we're gonna win.
And
I
I'm
said
not
I
sitting here
wanted-
telling you we're going to lose on Wednesday. What I'm telling you is it's going to be a hard fucking game. And there are
I
no
think-
guarantees
Jim,
on
I
Wednesday
think
night
it's gonna be
because
that
no
hard that
game
we might
is
go out.
easy
Yes,
for this club.
100%. It'll be a hard game.
Jake, you know this
100%
game.
It'll be a hard game.
I know Galatasaray fans, mate. This is their biggest game in their history. They're treating this game like that cup final that they beat Arsenal in the Europa League in early, I think it was early 2000s, whatever it was. They're treating this game like that. This is their biggest game. They're gonna turn up regardless of them having no fans. Believe you me, another thing, that stadium, Anfield, there'll be quite a few Galatasaray fans in there. Believe you me, somehow
No,
they are
there
gonna
ain't.
get
No,
in.
there ain't. Come on, Alex.
She's one of them.
I'm going to. You know what? I said to Asim, I'm going to this game.
Team's one of them.
Look, this is the thing. Ben, I'm
Continue, you don't want it.
devastated. Honestly, I'm devastated today. I'm devastated with the performance more than anything, and maybe it's because I'm
Yara,
that
it's football,
devastated. But you know
Yara,
what?
come on,
I'm
man.
a bit thinking about Wednesdays. I might not be as a bloody bro. I'm telling you, they're gonna. I've just got this feeling. Osimhen's gonna cook us. I've just got this defense is not good enough, man. Osimhen said he Marcy boys.
Yeah, guys,
You're
listen,
spot
we'll
on.
have to go through. We have to go through the super chats. If you want to come in whenever you like, feel free. Les Salah, thank you so much for sending this through, bro. Like I said, Rio is the only one with cojones. He must start in Champions League. Wish Wirtz had half the confidence of Shirky Florian Squirts in front of goal.
He does.
Sorry?
That's what he does, boys. Let's be honest with him. Let's talk about it. End of the day, people will think people gave me a load of shit. They absolutely blasted me when I was saying that, you know what, this guy needs to improve. This guy needs to improve. He still hasn't done it, guys. We're starting here in March now. He still hasn't done it. When it matters, you have to perform. Bro, you're at home on Wednesday. Florian Wirtz, please turn up. That's all I'm going to say. This lad better turn up on Wednesday night. He better turn up. Because if he doesn't turn up, if he tries these bloody finesse shots, bro. If he tries any of these finesse bullshit shots, boys, I am gonna go flippers on him. Because this crack passing, yeah, that trying to play these finesse shots, don't watch with me. I want him to put in the back of the net if he gets a chance.
You can be disappointed with his first season. I think for sure. We've seen glimpses of 6 weeks, albeit in season. You can see look. You are allowed to be disappointment. I think he'll be disappointed himself that he hasn't had a bigger impact in bigger games, more meaningful games. Look, I'm going to judge him properly next season, but yeah, the patience is wearing thing amongst Liverpool fans.
What is the difference between a fan that is discouraged going into Wednesday night and being concerned about potentially losing, or you can even take it a step further and saying we're probably going to lose, versus the fan like you that says that's not okay, but being disappointed and calling out Florian Wirtz is okay? What's the difference in your head why one is okay and the other is not okay? That's what I don't understand.
What are you talking about now?
You're telling us that it's not okay for somebody to say we're going to get eliminated on Wednesday night. And then 2 minutes later, you're sitting here telling us Florian Wirtz isn't good enough. He's a disappointment. He hasn't produced. The price tag is too big. And now you're knocking him. So why is it okay to do one but not to do the other?
That's got nothing to do with anything, Jake. I'm talking about players' individuality. Look,
I'm asking you what the difference is for you.
everyone knows Florian Wirtz is a quality player. Yeah, we've seen what he can do for Germany, for Bayer Leverkusen. We've seen glimpses of it at Liverpool. I do think that he needed a proper year to settle in before we really see him going next season. That's nothing to do with what I think or what fans think about Wednesday about us wanting to lose. There's no correlation there.
I'm not talking about wanting to lose. When I sit here and I listen to you having a go at fans for thinking we're going to lose on Wednesday. Wanting to lose and thinking we're going to lose are not the same
thing. Because we're Liverpool fans, and Liverpool's thesis from the beginning for every Liverpool fan is we always believe, even when times are dark, we still believe we can get a result. Even when we're 3-0 down at Istanbul to one of the greatest AC Milan teams, we still believe that we get one, we'll get two. We get two, we'll get three. We'll level it out, we'll win on penalties. And that's what
where is that backing?
We have that
for
belief.
The player?
That's where it comes from, Jake.
Why you don't have that belief for the player? Why is it different when it comes to
I just said I have got belief in Wirtz that he will come good. I'm saying
I think what Jake's trying to say is you're saying that we're being really negative against the team, but then it's okay to be negative against.
That's what I'm saying.
But then the reality is,
look at the money that we spent on Wirtz. We expected a plug and play. We expected a ready-made. When you're buying a player, Jake, for 115 million, you expect him to settle from game one, to be honest. But we Liverpool fans, the club is very patient. The club is very patient, like it has been with previous players, Fabinho, Ox, anyone that walked through those doors. We've always been patient with our players. And with Florian Wirtz, that patience, we're going to have to do it again with Florian Wirtz next season. Sad grinning there. He was the one guy out of all of us last season that wanted Florian Wirtz before we were even linked with him.
Number one advocate for Florian.
Yeah, so I don't think he's given up on him. He just expects better. We all expect better.
All I'm saying is I don't have a problem if people are negative towards the team, if they're positive towards the team. If they're negative towards the player, if they're positive towards the player. You have an opinion, you can have your opinion regardless of what it is. But don't tell people what type of opinions they can have and what type they can't have. That's what I'm saying.
I will tell people what I want. End of. Simple. And if they don't want to listen, they know where to go. As simple as that. You listen to the chip when he speaks. Anyway, as we carry on.
Let's move
I think Jake won that, by the way. Alex, big up Alex, always supporting the channel. This is, I think, addressed to Avi. Avi, don't you think it's the manager's job to hide individuals' shortcomings? Not unreasonable to get Salah close to goal or stop inverting fullbacks or not to have a big in hole in the middle 24/7. Avi?
Yeah, look, set up structure. We've talked about it this season. You've dropped monologues on it, Asim, how it doesn't work. But look, some individuals have had a drop-off, massive drop-off. Salah being closer to the goal, would he have been a better player? I don't know. Every player, and especially a legacy player like that, the form was always going to drop out at some point. We just didn't know that it was going to drop to a massive point where, it's causing issues for the team. Gakpo, the same. It's the same Gakpo ideally that we've seen from previous seasons. It's just that there's not been any competition for him. He's not had a Diaz pushing him. He's had a Ria who's only getting his chances, who's only getting his minutes in the last 2 months.
Okay, we'll keep it moving. Mike, who was on the show made his big debut, I think, proper debut last week. Big up, Mike. Hope you're well. Cue the second round table. You would say towards slot out. Yeah, won't be surprised if you see another. Big up, Mike. Hope you well, mate. Khalid, Frimpong right wing, same trick. Gakpo not up front, and wide Sobo right back.
I think some.
Can I just say I'm not having Frimpong as a right winger at all.
He's not the right fit for the club. He wasn't a right fit for the club. That's what I tell you now.
I'm not having Sobo at right back either. I think he's
brilliant at right back.
I think Frimpong's perfectly good at right back, and his actual real skill is that third man run where he's overlapping on the outside. Being a right winger is a totally different skill set for me. Being able to run might as well be Theo Walcott. I don't think he's a right winger at all. I'd have Salah there all day long.
I actually wrote a tweet and then that Richarlison chance just made me just believe it in the drafts. But it was about Frimpong today at nearly half time. And he plays that position as a right back / right wing back. He doesn't play it as a right winger. Is he a good option? Is he a good output merchant where he can shift with his left or right and get half a yard and cross it or get a goal over the course of a season? He is like a guy who's a fifth choice at right wing at best, but he's a good squad player at right wing or / right wing back, whatever system you play. And homegrown, and whether it's around about £30 million, which I think is generally peanuts in today's market, he's a good option to have. I know Avi is talking about a right profile. Yeah, I get it. And that's why I say, look, Liverpool need to address that right back area. Whether you bring a proper right back area, upgrade on Conor Bradley, and an upgrade on Frimpong, I'm all up for it. If you bring a right-sided centre-back / right back, but a technical football dueler who can maraud down the right wing, right-hand side, I'm all up for it. Half of the game at right wing, again, and we're not just a counter-attacking team where we can just create the situation. We can create the situation. Today, look, he had pace, but half the time he can't combine when he's got his back to goal. And I keep, when you're a right winger, that you want to go through it because you've got pace out wide, and the team is really compact, and in the really compact, in a low block, you need that ball to go out wide. And if it does, and he can turn, and he's got him face in front of the goal, then he is a threat. We have to create the situation for him. But when you're playing in such an integral position, an integral role, I'm not saying hold the ball up like Mohamed Salah, but he's not half as good. He's not the long-term option at right wing where you can fend off your full-back, you can play a ball into the underlapping or overlapping right back or your right-sided midfielder in Florian Wirtz or Szoboszlai, whoever it may be. He's just simply not good enough because he's not good enough at retaining the ball and keep it circulating. That's half of the job. Half of the job. But look, that's not his fault. He's been played there. And, we're starved of quality. Yeah, he stretches the opposition. He's setting the back about 4 or 5 yards. But I want what Rio's been doing. Rio can circulate it. Rio can come back and turn. He turned on the sixpence and did a full circle on Porro and went again. That's what I want from my right winger, because you're effectively an attacker. You're a forward, and you have to be. This is the level. We're not a mid-table side, even though we look like it this season. We look worse. But if we want to be that elite team again and really challenge for the big trophies, we need that right winger to be the dog's bollocks. And that's what we want in the summer. Anyway, let's keep it moving.
I'm actually looking forward to Wednesday, though, when we win 3-4-0.
We all are.
Well, I will open up a nice bottle of Dom Perignon. We can celebrate.
Another one, I hope.
Another one.
Big up Khalid.
Strawberry soda for everyone.
Jord H7, I think that's Jordan, maybe. I don't know. Big up. Thank you so much for sending this through. We are missing Trent's delivery and Nunes' passion.
Please, Nunes, please. The Nunes, no, please. Trent, I get, not Nunes. We're not missing nothing of Dom and Nunes. Thank you, Roshi. Good old Roshi. Good old friend of mine. Thank you, Roshi98, for the super chat. Playing for the shirt works on.
Can you stop acting like a clown? I know you've got schooled by Jake about 10 minutes ago. Shut the fuck up.
Roshi's my friend. Roshi's my friend.
I don't give a shit. If you don't want to host the show at the start, show at the start, shut the fuck up and listen, prick. Roshi, thank you so much.
Thank you, Roshi.
The shirt works on those.
No.
Are you gonna be a good boy now?
No.
You're like a dog that just keeps on barking. Playing for the shirt works on those one-off deep matches. It's not sustainable when the coach can't establish a winning identity over time. 100% Roshi. Big up. Thank you so much for sending this through. Le Salah, slot here next season. I'll shave my head and kiss Gakpo. Vasudev, thank you so much. Capital letters, man. Must be serious. Everyone said we will lose against Arsenal by 4 and 5 and celebrated the draw. Make some sense. Look, you have to understand who you're playing against. Today we got a draw, but it's bloody Spurs who are languishing in 17th or 18th, whatever they are. We were going to the league leaders at a time where we had so many injuries. It was a depleted side. And for that second half, we controlled the game. Did we create ample chances? Did we get behind their defense? No. But you can't say that was a good. You cannot say that wasn't a good performance for Liverpool with all things considered. But Vasilev doesn't think so. But that's his opinion, and he's entitled to it. Big up, Amma. What happens first? Slot wins the UCL or Gene sorts the BNR merch out. Nothing happens first. Nothing's happening. The mighty one. Big up. Thank you so much for the super chat. Name one sustainable chance creation method we have.
We don't attack well. That's all.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
You just told me 5 minutes ago we attack well.
I never said that. I said we can score goals.
Yeah,
And when you've got great players, you have always got the ability to score goals. We
No
can't
one
score
speak
goals,
now.
but we don't attack well.
The best
No, we
chance
can score
creation method
goals.
that we
We
have
just-
is get fouled and give a free kick to Sobo. That's our best chance creation method.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you rightly said, like the goals against Newcastle, a lot of them, deflections and whatnot. But when you've got quality players on the pitch, you can score goals. But yeah, I'm not confident for Wednesday, Jake. Don't you worry about that. I'm just saying that I think we will go through because they're even worse.
We
than
might go
Spurs, if
through.
that's possible.
It won't be 3-0. That's all that I'm saying.
What's it going to be, Jake?
No,
then come on, let's
no,
speak.
mate.
I'm allowed to speak. I'm allowed to speak again now. What do you think the score's going to be, Jake? Enlighten me.
We can't beat them by 2 goals. I don't think we can beat them by 2 goals.
So what's going to
So
happen? 30s?
if we squeak out a 2-goal win, it will be a very, very late second goal, like extra time or something like that. I think I'm not even sure we're going to penalties. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling. I think we're going to score first. What happens after that? I don't know what's going to happen after that.
So basically, you ain't
We
got the
go
bollocks to
through
call
on
it.
penalties. Okay, that's a defeat.
I'm not confident either way. I'm not confident we're going to be able to score 2 goals.
Call it the show. Call it raps. Come on, Asim. Just call it.
What's your prediction, Avi? We'll go
3-0.
around the table.
3-0.
3-0. Okay.
I promise you right now, there's no way it's 3-0.
3-1.
Oh yeah, thanks, Avi. Ben, prediction before we go. It will change over the course of the week.
Who knows?
It's only 2 days.
Oh, my last prediction wasn't very good. I said 5-0 against Spurs, so I really shouldn't have I shouldn't really have a voice in this prediction game.
Ben, you know what?
So
Ben, go with your chest out. Go with your chest out, Ben. Come on, show some fire.
I'm gonna say that they're gonna be so unbelievably frustrated with that performance today that they will go and beat Galatasaray 3-0 on Wednesday.
After all that. Fair play. Gene, what's your prediction?
We win the game 2-1, but we go out on pens.
Gina's a happy man either way.
I'd back Alisson if we get to penalties, surely.
I don't back Alisson.
No, I don't
I'll
think
never
it
back him against
It
any
is
penalty.
life.
No way. No way.
Bring back Kelleher for it.
And
You
do not
disappointed that he
Kelleher, yes.
extended?
How
Are you
he didn't
disappointed
save
that he
bloody-
extended?
what's that Vitinha's penalty last time, and I'll never understand, bro. I still think about Vitinha's penalty, how he didn't save it. I still think
You're
about
worse
it.
than slot you. PSG obsessed.
That's the shit. Jake, I would have saved that. Ben, sorry, I would have saved it.
Terrible, mate. Yeah, it wasn't.
Mm.
It wasn't to be. It wasn't to be.
And your prediction, Asim?
Earlier I said we'll go through. It won't be easy.
No Davinson Sanchez, if I may speak.
3-1. 3-1.
That's actually a big miss for him, you know.
I don't know how you guys, all 3 of you guys, think we're going to score
David
3 goals.
Sanchez being a big
I
miss.
was going to go 2-0, but I can't see who's keeping a clean sheet. So I've had to go. 3-1.
Jake, you need some of that Colombian Charlie tonight. So make sure you run it on
We
Wednesday.
we beat Frankfurt 5-1, and Frankfurt beat Galatasaray.
Yeah, but we know that it
4-0
doesn't
or
work.
something
Football doesn't
that.
work like that, Ben. We know football doesn't work like
No,
that.
I know, but I'm talking about away from home. They are
They
a
are
completely
rubbish.
different
Yeah,
animal.
yeah.
Have they won a game away from home?
But we're the same animal away
I don't
from home and at home. We're shit everywhere we play.
Yeah, and yet we finished third in our Champions League group.
We did,
How
Ben.
did that
Go on,
happen?
Ben. Yes, Ben. Go on.
20,
Go on,
what was it,
Ben.
36 teams, and we finished third. How did that happen?
Ben,
When we can't
Ben,
score goals.
come on, man.
I know.
Honestly, man,
I'm
I
what's
pray
called.
we win. Honestly,
My head's rolled as well.
I just pray we win, man. Somehow we get through, man. Because honestly, I can't take losing to these guys, man. That'd be another low.
By the way,
Losing to
Tom Werner
Galatasaray, it'd be
was in
another low.
Liverpool tonight, by the way.
Good for him.
Tom Werner was in Liverpool tonight, by the way. Whatever that means.
That last Chris Williams tweet as well, I think it's worth finishing on. I think it's
What is it?
significant even more. So if you knew how much time off the players actually got, you'd be shocked. Plus the levels at which they're training at. The whole ethos comes from the top, which is why so many are lacklustral and under par and have been since March 25 when it comes down in intensity.
I didn't even read the tweet, and that's exactly what I said at the beginning of the show. That's exactly what I said at the beginning of the show, without even reading the tweet. The
Well
tweet
done.
might even come out
Jake, you're a
after I
legend.
said it. He probably
Well
copied
done, Jake. Well done, Jake.
from what I
You
said.
you are perfection.
Thank you,
You
sir.
got
Now
it,
we can
mate.
log off.
It's been emotional.
Oh.
It's honestly.
There was another
Ten-
tweet from Chris Williams. Sorry, Avi. Well, there was another tweet from Chris Williams. Something about, like, like aggressive messaging and all that sort of stuff, and maybe some sort of pressure on the journalists for not asking the questions that they really want to ask. Can you read that one out, please? Because
But doesn't Tony Barrett brief the journalists like Vinny O'Connor and stuff like that anyway, freehand?
he does.
I think that's what he's leading to then.
Oh, well, it says, yeah, this one maybe this one, Asim. It says, if I was covering Liverpool still professionally, I wouldn't give two shits what the club say, reference unfair comments, little moans via WhatsApp and passive aggressive messaging. I'd be speaking the absolute truth regardless of any line that they'd like to take.
I agree with
think
that.
he's
Whatever's
basically
coming out of the
saying-
club is a lot of shit. They're just for toying the line. And we all know that. That's
Yeah.
why we go for the journals at times. Well, I do anyway. That they just toe the line, and it's
Yeah.
not good, man. Speak the truth if you're gonna speak. Otherwise, don't speak. No, why
Well,
are
I
you a
think-
journalist?
I think in
Don't be a
general-
journalist.
I
think-
told, and I'm not just saying. Sorry, Ben. I'm not just saying it because we've just dropped points
No,
against
it's all
one
right.
of the worst sides in the league. Avi and Gene are my witness. I told them about 2-3 weeks ago that there are people at the club who have got a position of power, not mentioning any names, that they are ringing people who they've got the contact details for, and they're seeing their tweets, and they're trying to manage it, and they don't like it, and they're complaining about it. And these two guys are my witness. I'll tell you two boys who it was. This is what's happening. So that's why I wanted you to read that tweet, because I related to it. That's what the club is doing right now. Why are you trying to run the narrative? Concentrate on what's more important. Bloody sorting the performances out on the pitch. This is what's happening. It's absolute madness.
I understand the idea of keeping harmony and keeping sort of like, some sort of contentment, but then when things do go wrong, then it needs some accountability, doesn't it? Like we all listen to a lot of the press conferences, the post-match press conferences and the pre-match press conferences, and quite often the people in those press conferences, they're asking what I would class as nice questions. They're asking questions that are like, very easy to answer, or very, sort of, oh yeah, what's Szoboszlai's form like, or why do you think that he's struggling, or whatever. They're not asking, well, why is this like this and it was like that last year, etc. Maybe there's a case of, the club are trying to protect themselves in wake of what happened in the summer, and that it was so huge what happened. It was almost as if the whole club has got a bit of a subconscious mitigation for this season. Possibly.
But what
I don't know.
But what I would say, what I've just said about the club and the hierarchy, the position of people in power trying to control the narrative and get in touch with the people that they don't like what they're putting out, which is absolutely it's shite and it shouldn't be happening. But what I would say is just what you said. The level of questioning, it still can be done in a smart way, And I want to know what's wrong with Gravenberch. I want to know why Arne Slot is playing in McAllister in a deeper role, or Gravenberch in a different role. Albeit we know what the reasons are. But I want to know what the manager thinks of it. What we think of it is completely different. It might be right, it might be wrong. But what's more important, what Arne Slot thinks of it right now. But what I would say in regards to journalists, what I think they need to do is, and the reason why they're not doing it is because they're shit scared that they might get some comeback from the manager. And they're not in a position, in terms of, I believe their knowledge is not good enough to have a little ding dong with the manager in front of the cameras. I genuinely believe that.
Or dare I say, it might impact their access to the club. Is that a fair thing to say?
It's a bit of everything. But I'm not seeing in the last 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, a question that is asked with the bit of research in terms of what's happening at Liverpool on the pitch. It's all bullshit. Like, we've conceded 20 set pieces, this and that. You know what the answer is going to be. Ask him something different.
Yeah.
But that they think that if he's going to come, the manager might bite, and I'm going to look stupid. If you think you're going to look stupid, then it's on you. Because I don't think you've done your research and you do have the knowledge. Honestly,
just think
it's not good enough.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Do you think there's a possibility that because Klopp had let's say, a frosty relationship with certain journalists, and there was a lot of negativity at certain points under his tenure, that they've made the decision, the hierarchy have made the decision to make it a lot more sort of, what's the word, sort of vanilla in under this manager, because, as I say, they just don't want any sort of negativity to come out of the club, full stop. I just feel as though it makes it very wishy-washy, doesn't it? Yeah, it's difficult.
Thank God for Fan TV. Thank God for Fan TV. Okay, people, we leave it there.
Yes. Did you do the suit?
Oh no, there's
two more.
Two more?
One more, sorry. No, one more, you're right.
Big up. Wow. Look at this. This is what you call a fan. And this is the people that I feel sorry for, because there's thousands and millions of people that are subject to walk up at 3:30 to watch this bullshit. To be fair to Avi, he does it on a weekly basis as well, and so does Jake. But it's the love. It's the love.
Some people wake up on Tuesday, Wednesday. Then, if it's not, I just don't wake up. Just wake up till the new manager comes in. Simple as. Let's just not be nice about it. Come on, for fuck's sake.
They wake up because they love the club.
Oh yeah, but and look, and he's watching. So I'm saving him the time. Just wake up when you've got a new manager pre-season. When they come to America, so the time zone will be friendly.
No, because you can be hurt, you can be frustrated, you can be angry. That doesn't mean you don't have to watch him.
To watch the highlights. Why ruin his sleep, man? Poor old Sujit. Big up Sujit, by the way.
It's not the mark, but he.
You know when he loses the
conversation. You know what it is. I'll tell you what it is. Before he was all hardy da a week.
I honestly think for 2 hours.
He was sending me 1 second.
For 2 hours. I am not upset.
Liverpool's gonna win against this team. Liverpool's gonna win that team.
I am not upset of this.
I don't get no let up. No,
I am not.
3 points here.
This is where we just chill out, Jake, and we just
disappear.
I am not upset.
Ben,
I am not
Ben, didn't want anything of this tonight, but 1 hour 45 minutes.
I am not upset about this. We'll see on Wednesday. Honestly, there's too many things in my life going on to care about.
Oh, here we go.
Great. 2 hours of this is great. Thank you.
That's copium. I like it. It's copium.
Yeah.
Abby loves them.
We have bigger plans. We have bigger plans.
We're all hurt.
Inshallah.
We're all hurt.
Bigger plans in life.
We're all hurt. Boys, brilliant discussion. We're all hurting, and so is everybody else. Like and subscribe on the way out. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss more of this shit show. Until then, take care and have a good night. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Are you all right?
I said thank you, everyone.